And those of you who are with me long enough know that I totally do record all these lessons, but I often forget. So thank you, Sandra. You're going to see that I'm drawing kind of a simple shape around the tree that we're drawing today. I'm going to take a picture of this and send it on WhatsApp. So when we start, we're going to start with this outer shape. And then from there, we're going to be doing the inner, the shapes where this envelope meets the edge of the tree. So this is going to be our first set of lines. I think people look at a tree and they see all the leaves and they think, oh my God, here, I'm going to take a picture of this so you can see this. You think, oh my God, I can't draw all those leaves. But one of the things that we're learning in drawing and in painting as well is that you don't draw everything you don't draw everything that you see. Here, let me take a picture of this. You guys will be able to see it better. There you go. We start with like the outside shapes first. So we're going to be working very small today. So I'm going to show you how to start this.
Leah, I'm so sorry. I don't think I'm in this group chat.
Oh, you might not be, Jane. Let me add you. Is anybody else not getting the WhatsApp thread? Stephanie, are you in?
I don't think I'm in it either. No. Okay. How do I send you my number, or what do you need?
Give me 1 second. I had a terrible time trying to add people via number, so I might send it. It's Stephanie Lee, right?
Yeah.
No. Yes. Okay. I might have your email address. Let me add in Jane. Once I add you in, you're in. Stephanie, let me see if I have you. I might. Darn, no. Okay. So if you don't, is it just stephanie.lee@buzzfeed.com?
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on. Coming your way in just a second. Dot. All right, that should be coming your way, which means I'll resend this as I add people in. I'll resend. So I'll send out the source, the original source, which is just a tree in my backyard, actually my neighbor's front yard. This was before we got like 1.5 feet of snow dumped on us. Becky, I can't believe you made it here. I don't know how you got here. I had a friend who tried to fly in this morning and it totally didn't work. There we go. Well, got you.
My flight was canceled at first on Thursday, so I left Southwest and found a flight on Alaska and got here Thursday afternoon before all of the crazy.
Thank God. Thank God. I got
to go Winter Wonderland where I left LA when it was like in the 70s.
All right. You should all be here. So we're going to start. So because these things are overwhelming, we always start when we're drawing with the outer shape. Can you guys see this well enough? I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. Sometimes the glare at the top of the page makes it difficult to see. And I'm also going to do this.
Leah, I have a question. How do you sort of guesstimate the scale if you're not folding the page? Like
so that's a really good question. I'm going to help you. You're going to take a stab at it. You're going to get some things right. You're going to get other things wrong. And I'm going to help you. How's that?
Cool.
So actually, that's a good question. That was Vanessa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a really good question, because one of the things that we've learned is that when we look at something, we make it too big. We tend to exaggerate the size. So this is why we start with outlines like this, because I can correct this way more easily than I can correct this if I start here at the top and then, go halfway through my tree before I realize I've made things too big. So it's a good thing to know that you probably, as you're learning to judge how big things are, it's very possible you're going to get things the wrong size. So we're just starting to train our brains. So the idea is not to get it right. The idea is to use these steps so that some days you're going to be on mean, I don't know who was with me in one of our painting classes this week, but my drawing was like completely off. And just because there are some days where that happens. So that looks pretty good to me. So as you can see, this is those red lines. I may do a little bit of correcting, but I'd love you guys. Be aware, oh, it's very easy to make things too big. Often when I'm focusing on something, I'm not thinking about where it is in relation to the other thing, right? So, oh, and look, so I just did that. So one of the mistakes I just made is that I didn't look at where this line comes in relation to this bend. So I lined them up right here, but in fact, this comes up higher. So see how I'm able to correct that, which means I need to bring this line up. Yeah, so drawing is really not for perfectionists. I mean, you want to be perfectionist on some level, right? And I can line this up to see. You want to be perfectionist on some level, but you have to accept the fact that you're going to make mistakes and that you really won't know until you lay something down. Do you have it right? So that's the really, so for perfectionists who, like, I've had only one student in my life who quit because he was too much of a perfectionist. He couldn't actually handle the uncertainty of laying a line down and having it be wrong. Notice here, I'm kind of, this is a little bit taller, so I'd like to bring this in a little bit. There's another thing that's going to help us see if we have this right. It's when we start adding these guys in. Ooh, do I have the space for all that? Do I have enough room for all of them? So that will help. And if somebody wants to send this to me, great. So send me your shape when you're done with it. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see a couple before I go any further. So I think what trips us up in drawing a lot as well is that in drawing, you're thinking about things relationally. So as I lay down this line, I'm thinking about like what it's doing in relation to this line. And I think most of us, when we first start drawing, and notice I did not put these together in a point, right? This kind of ends at the top of the paper. These don't come together. They kind of end off the page.
Can't we pretend they come together? It's a bit of a shame missing the top.
I think it's okay. Trust me. It's a worry that don't worry about it, because you don't actually know what's happening at the top. The top actually goes on for like several more
feet.
Yeah. So don't even worry about it. I want you to focus, because this is a very minor part of the drawing. You'll see there are more important parts of the drawing. This part up here is not as important, although it's important to get the shapes right. Let's see. Becky. So Becky, put these apart, right? Put these apart at the top. Otherwise it looks pretty good to me. See, this ends here in kind of it's a little hard to see because I have my tape here. Here, let me move my tape. So
after you said that, I changed it not to be pointy.
Isn't that funny? But yeah. It's funny, right? So that's your left brain. That's your left brain jumping in and telling you that you're anticipating that this is happening without really even being able to see what's happening. Oscar, right on. Susanna. Oh, Susanna's jumped ahead. All right.
There's always one in a class.
So Susanna, I'm going to have you, this looks not bad, but I want you to pay a little bit more attention. Watch this. Mm-hmm. I'll jump in. I want you to, nice, Mira. Okay, Nina, so you've done the opposite. I don't know if you, unless I'm looking at this. Oh, it looks like I'm seeing this backwards. I'm seeing your drawing backwards, Nina. It looks like you're straight here. This comes over more. So So take another picture, Nina, and send this to me. I don't think I'm looking at this from the right way. Yeah, Jane, you've got the right idea. So let me start to demonstrate this for people who want to come far ahead. This is not a circle. It's really a triangle. Busted, Suzanne. Oh, I can tell you two are going to be fun in class. And then notice, this is here.
No, it's fine.
That's awesome. But you've got the right idea, which is that
To laugh a lot.
yes, to laugh a lot. And also,
Shapes now?
yes, you can do this. So that's what I'm doing here. Go ahead and review your shapes and see if you've got them right. So you see how I'm
That's the intimidating.
You're drawing the negative space in front.
yes, I'm drawing the negative spaces. I'm essentially drawing the shapes. And let me draw these really strongly so that you guys can see them. Maybe if I do this with blue, it'll be easier. No, the blue is never easier to see. I'm going to try red again. I'm going to have to make another copy of this because right? So remember that there are branches in between. So your shapes here really have to, they're much more kind of boxy and square. That actually tells you something about the shape. Of branches. These are much squarer shapes. Can you guys see that a little bit better? And yeah, excellent. So anyway, that's what we're doing. I'm doing this too. One of the things I notice is as I come down here, that I need a little bit more room underneath here. So I'm going to extend my line a little bit. So Vanessa, once again, you asked, how do you know? I know when I start to fit these shapes in, do I have the room for them? And I see that this triangle, yes, I think that's basically it.
Okay.
All right. Also, I can notice things. Once I've laid out this triangle, I can see that like this second box lines up with it. Oh, and so I need to bring it up just a little bit, which means I made this box just a little too big. So I am squeezing that in. See that? So even me, I hesitate to say expert, but I mean the person who does this all the time, right? Even I am like struggling to get everything in the right places. And also notice that these are not all lined up the same. This comes in a little bit farther than this one does. All of these shapes, this is what we call, as Sandra pointed out very rightly, this is what we call the negative space. So what we've done is create an envelope of shape, right? And now we're carving out the spaces that are not the subject to start to shape the subject. That's really helpful with trees. And actually you can see there's a little branch out here. We'll add that in later. I missed that.
Leah, if I have proportions all off, how do I fix? I have to make my negative spaces bigger then, right? Because they're.
I think it just depends on where you are. Do you want me to, you want to send it to me so I can take a look at it? Often there's an easier way to do it. There we go, Nina. That's better. Okay, so Nina, this is too narrow. You've got this. This is what yours looks like. I'm going to show you on my. I knew there was something wrong with this shape. You have this going on, Nina, like that. So you want to erase this line and expand this out. Do a straight line down and out and pull this out more. This takes almost, right?
Can you hear me today or no?
I can hear you today.
Oh, okay.
Weird.
I know my laptop is acting weird. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, so Becky, let's see. That's you were the one who was just talking to me about this, right? Okay. Yeah. So Becky, you missed one. So the first thing you did is you missed one. You've got two up. I would erase this side.
Okay.
Okay, and just start over again and notice there's two here lined up with this triangle. Then you've got this one in. You've got you're also doing a more, I'd make these more squared. I know they look a little bit rounded, but I think they're going to be better for you if you've got a kind of more squared shape. And then you've got this one here, which lines up with this one. So there are 3 here. So just erase this side and pay more attention to where these are lining up, and it's going to be easier. You might, Becky, have to bring this up a little bit. So once you get all your shapes, it might be a little bit too long.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because there are even shapes. So try, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 5 shapes that are kind of evenly spread out along this side. So if you're not getting all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sorry, 6 shapes. So if you're not getting all 6 in, then something is a little bit off and might need to be corrected. Jane, I want you to square off your shapes because you're exaggerating your curves and you're not going to be happy with that. So I'm sorry, I'm going to be really anal here because I know you can do it. Look at this, relook at this shape. You've got it in too far. It's a bigger negative space here. That one looks pretty good. This looks okay. That looks good. This looks good. This isn't bad. Yeah, and then square these off. So these are more like straight. The reason I'm doing this is that mostly these are this is like the tree going up and then the branches going out. So if you have a curve, it's not really mimicking that shape. Otherwise, looking good. Susanna, good.
Can you finish yours, please, Leo?
Yep. That's it. And I'll take a picture of this so that you guys can see it. This is also illustrating a principle. Hold on. I'm going to send a picture of this over so you guys can see it. I want you to look at how boxy my mark making is. I want you to review your own. So let's see. I'm looking at Vanessa's right now. So Vanessa, I want you to box out your shapes. They're way too curved right now. That's going to be confusing to you later. I swear. Stephanie. I think 1, 2, I'm looking at this. Not bad. 2, good. Good. So you'll notice at this point in the game that this drawing looks kind of ridiculous. Mira, that's looking good. This is like more of a square. It's not a pointed. See, I'm getting really tricky with you guys now because I know if I'm paying more attention to your shapes now, it's going to be easier for you to go in and get the shapes you want later. That's how important this part of the process is. Tajween looks good. Vanessa, I want you to review a little bit. Let's see, Stephanie. Yep. Yeah. Yep, looking good. Helpful to work small. Yeah, Becky, that's great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, you're good. You're in good shape. There's more detail here. Let's see. Nice, Sandra. Great boxy shapes. I'm just looking here. Good. Here's why we don't draw like this, even though this is a great way to draw. This drawing looks really stupid right now. I am like the first to admit how silly this drawing looks. And that's like, and so we have to learn to live with a kind of awkwardness to the drawing as you're blocking it in. It's going to feel like it's wrong. Your right brain is going to, your left brain, which is your verbal conceptual side, it's not your drawing side, is going to tell you things like, this needs to be at a point, and wait, I need to get every single branch in here. And wait, like, how am I going to get all that snow and all those leaves? You know what I mean? Like, that is like the right brain. Your left brain. Your right brain is really paying attention to shape, because your right brain knows that if I get these shapes right now, when I start to work more detail in, I know everything is in the right places. I was just looking at mine here. I can see this needs to be a little bit bigger. So see how I'm still kind of like futzing with my shape. I love this because I feel like this is a way easier job than like trying to think about drawing everything that you see, every single leaf. So these are the sort of hacks that we use to become better drawers. Yes, and being uncomfortable is great. I get it. That looks great. That's perfect. Okay, so now we're going to look at some of the shapes within. So for those of you who are new, I don't know if you've ever heard of the term value. In right brain drawing terms, value means the lightness or darkness of any color. So just up here, I'll show you if 1 is light and 5 is dark, like that. And I'll put the, actually, you know what? I can totally put this up close. There's no reason I can't do that now. You can see that. Yep, 1 and 5. Then 2 is going to be slightly darker. 3 is going to be a kind of middle tone. 4 is, whoops, 3. 4 is going to be dark, but not as dark as this, right? So now I have to work to make sure I have like very clear values. My 3 isn't like super clear right now. It looks a little bit too much like my 4. I'm going to take a picture of this so you can see it. There's your value scale. So go ahead and practice giving yourself a value scale somewhere on another piece of paper on the side here. So shape is important and values are important because values are the only thing, and specifically the spaces where light and dark values meet is the most important, because that's where the eye goes. And when we see a light area meet a dark area, that's where there's a shift in the light. So can anybody tell what direction the light's coming from?
The left.
Yeah, kind of the left top, right? And how can you tell, Sandra?
Because the bottom right is dark.
Exactly. So I'm going to start outlining some of the darkest areas. Once again, yeah, you'll notice here, everything on this side, there are light areas on both sides and there are dark areas on both sides. But there's more dark areas and the dark areas are bigger kind of down here, which indicates that the light's coming from this direction. Let's see. I'm going to try and sketch in the biggest shapes I see. Notice I'm not going for every dark area. I'm going for, here's a nice one here. I'm going for kind of the bigger shapes.
You're outlining the darker shapes, like the number 5s?
Yeah, I'm outlining the number 5s. Excellent. Yep. Absolutely.
TK teacher here. Okay.
That's good. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. So the next shapes that we're going to add in here are going to be these darker shapes. I'll take a picture of this and send it over, and then I'll start to do it. And all the time, you now have these outside shapes that are going to help you judge where things are, right? So I would start with the shapes that are next to your outer shapes because you know they're here, right? So, and I like to start with the bigger shapes. I'll show you in a second, but let me take a picture of this so you can see this. I feel like there's always so much setup. Like, you know, there's like all this. So I'm looking here and I see that there's a big shape here. And I also see, as I see that this big shape comes in, that I need to bring my big shape. I need to adjust my big shape a little bit. It was in a little too far. If I want space for this shape,
Oh, wow.
see how I'm correcting all the time.
I can't
Perfection.
see it right, Leah. It's like off the camera.
Oh, yeah, there we go. How's that?
Thank you.
Yep. So see, I'm going just shape by shape.
That's where the stress comes in.
Yeah, don't get like, but think about it. Stress, it's like stress, but it's stress. It's a different kind of stress. Like nobody's going to die if you fuck this up. You're not going to get yelled at by your editor or whoever you work for, you're not going to embarrass yourself in front of thousands of people on a stage,
I
right?
will. I will.
Yeah.
I will.
I'm looking that I'm seeing, so you see how I'm adjusting this? I made this too big at first, and I can tell because I need some space between here, and the next shape, which comes up here.
Hey, you guys.
This is really just, and the other thing I'm noting, oh yeah, that'll work here.
I made a mistake.
You didn't want those.
Where's your on?
So once again, Vanessa, you ask like, how do you tell where things are? This is part of that process. This is also the meditative part about drawing. You got to focus. You can't really fuck around with it. You know, sorry, Oscar. You can't mess around with it. Have to remember when there are kids here. Of course, kids could totally be watching the video too, so I should probably just not say that word, but I can see that I made this a little bit too wide too. So you can see how I'm kind of adjusting as I go along, and it helps me as I'm starting to put in these shapes. So, and if you're feeling like I don't know what to do, just send it to me. I can usually show you the quickest, easiest way to correct.
Okay, here comes.
All right, bring it.
I'm feeling like lost now.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost. Send it over.
I just did. But
Okay,
there's just a lot of shapes in here.
there's a lot of shapes. You're good. You're just keep going. Just keep moving up. You're doing all right.
Yeah.
Trust yourself.
Oh.
Your father's jumping in to help. I know it. He is there to help you.
Father was trying to help.
Maybe not. Aren't they supposed to be better when they're not like, like one would hope that they learn to behave nicer when they get into the other worlds, wherever that is. Yeah. Here we go. So it's good. You might have a little bit more space there, Becky, but I think it's going to turn out just fine.
Okay.
So, and you can always move things around. So it's like we get sort of married to our lines. It's like, oh my God, I have to have my lines perfect.
Well, that's where my perfectionist side comes in. Like, it has to look like yours.
Right? No, you'll see. Actually, this is why it's so great for us to work together, because you will see that nobody's is going to look the same. And what's nice about trees, as Sandra has pointed out very often, and by the way, you're seeing that I'm kind of erasing the lines, the edges, the sort of negative space edges off. You can do this, or you can keep them in if you want to and get rid of them later. But if you feel like they're kind of in your way, you can get rid of them. That kind of helps the drawing look a little bit better, right? It looks a little bit more tree-like now. Yeah, it's, this is the practice, right? We don't know how to do this because it's like trying to learn to read on your own. Virtually nobody does that. Let's see, Tajmin. Oh yeah, that looks good. Good job, honey. Wait, am I looking? I want, okay, 1, 2, good. Excellent. Well done. Looks great. And if you want to, you can start darkening those areas. And
these are 5s, right?
these are 5s. Yes, you can start darkening. These are all pretty much 5s. There may be a little bit of 4 in there, but you can always go in with your eraser later. Yeah, these are basically the darkest areas. And I don't know if you see what I'm doing here. Let me put this up close. You can really see how I'm working my pencil. There's a lot of ways to shade. You do not have to shade the way I'm shading. But one of the things I want you to pay attention to is that I'm not just turning this into a block like this. I'm kind of making it a little bit raggedy around the edges, just like we did with the oak tree, right? Because that I can actually see, if you look here closely, here, let me put this here so you can really see it. If you look up close, you can see that there's kind of little raggedy edges of white, right? Or lighter colors that come in. So what's nice about having snow on a tree is that we also have very dramatic light areas. So that's going to really help us. But so you can kind of, as you're shading in, kind of shade in the shape of leaves a little bit, just around the edges. The rest of it should be fine, right? So you don't have to like kind of color it in all straight. You can let it be a little bit jaggedy towards the end. It's still going to look stupid after this, so I want to warn you. This is not where the drawing starts to do what we call locking in. That'll happen a little bit later, but it starts here. I mean, I don't know if there's a similar process when you're preparing to go on stage and perform, Susanna. I'm always fascinated by that.
Here is. This is very, very similar.
You have to really concentrate, right? Like
it failing real big in rehearsal.
Failing big, and right. You have to try it out, and then you have to kind of click into a zone and pay attention. What you know is that you can't it's not something that you can do without paying attention to all the little things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Suzanne, you guys, for those of you who don't know, Suzanne and I met because she ran this really cool radio show for an arts magazine here in town. And we talked for like some ridiculous long amount of time about the artistic process.
And it wasn't enough time.
And it wasn't enough time. So I'm just continuing this conversation as we're going through. I think people want their art to be easy, right? And it's not exactly easy, but there is, look at how, yeah, it's still looking pretty bad. So don't expect that this is on its own going to help you. We're going to get in our lightest areas first, and then start outlining. So see how I'm actually kind of looking, and I'm actually looking at the shapes. So if you can't see the shapes well enough, I would actually recommend you pull up. I can see that this one kind of comes out a little bit, this branch. So I'm actually bringing it out up here. The big branch I missed is right here at 1, 2, the third branch down from the top. So if you wanted to, you could totally add that in now.
I'm sending you mine because I'm that insecure one. I need you to tell me it's okay.
All right, let me see it. I get it.
Leah, we've lost the top, so we can't completely see.
There is, have you? Oh, okay, right. Here we go. Sorry. Let me push it back just a little bit. How's that?
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
that's much.
Wait.
Yes.
Sorry, it's on a thing. This is the top right here. Got it?
But of your drawing.
Oh, the top of my drawing. Yes, here's my drawing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's coming along, Becky. Don't worry. You're doing all right.
I just
Vanessa, that looks good. This looks good. So I'm hoping you're. So I don't need to look at everybody's, but you can look at people's as you're going through, and you're going to notice people have different ways of kind of using the pencil to create shading. That's kind of cool. So here I can see that there is a little like, actually I brought it out too far. There's a tiny little space here between the branches that come this way and this branch that comes out here. I know because I can see it, because when I get in close, I can see that it's within that rectangle. So I can start to add leaf. So I'm not drawing every leaf. I'm only really drawing like edge of leaf shapes.
Can you take a picture of yours?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard to see for.
Where I'm at right now? Yeah.
If you don't mind.
No, not at all. And it, like I said, mine's still not, it's looking pretty blocky. It should still be looking blocky.
Mhm.
I am so glad we figured out that thing about working small. This would be a real pain if we had to do it large. It totally would be. Yep, and then up here, there's some other darker areas up here, but they're smaller, so I'm not going to worry about them right now. Yeah, that's pretty much. I am going to get rid of these negative spaces. Look at what's happening here. Sandra, great. So Sandra, work on some of these. Notice with the fir tree, there's a few little, not a lot, but a few areas, and like on this branch out here, where the lines kind of come, you can see kind of little, it's not like a rounded oak like this, right? Right? That's not what the edge looks like. It's kind of littler lines that come out like that. So you can add
Like
that
the horizontal
out here.
lines almost. Like,
Yeah. Some are horizontal, some are coming out this way. So you can start to add those in.
I was going to ask you what
noticed-
kind of mark making.
Yeah, that's what you're going to start doing, because the let me show you. I want to take a, I'm going to stop for a second and, oh wait, somebody asked me to take a picture of this. Sorry, hold on. I'll do this right now so you can see what is. I'm going to send this over. I found two kind of nice, simple-ish sketches. Where did you go? There they are. I want to share with you. They're not that simple, actually. That's why we didn't use any of them. But they kind of show you how the marks look, how the leaf mark making patterns. And I love this one because it kind of shows you shapes.
Where?
On the WhatsApp thread. So if you see this, if you look at this, you can see the different shapes of the trees. We're kind of drawing one that looks more like this.
Like a cedar almost.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I don't really know. I don't know trees well enough, unfortunately. Look at this scribble right here, how much that sort of depicts tree.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So these are the simple shapes. So I put these in because I thought maybe you guys might want to practice them, copy a few, but also look at the mark making, right? That's happening here. So unlike the cedar where we've got these, the oak where we've got this kind of more rounded shapes, like I've got going here. It's like a more, as you kind of come to the edge, it's a little bit more little lines. See that? That you kind of build on top of each other. I'm not doing little lines everywhere. I'm not trying to draw every little line, but where I am drawing the little lines is kind of like where a branch sticks out and you can see it against the background here. So this is a branch, right? that kind of comes down like this. So you could kind of put little lines around the outline like that.
This is actually easier than the oak tree.
That's what I thought too. I thought you guys would appreciate this. Let's see, Susanna. Yeah. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, isn't that fun? So also practice those, a few of those, because look at that mark making. Beautiful, Susanna. Really beautiful.
Thank you, Leah.
You're welcome.
Oh gosh.
All right. And then and then let's see, do we have any more that I really want to do? So now I'm kind of coming to the outer branches on either side where they come out, and I'm erasing the space between, right? So I'm erasing this part right here, this part right here. And then I'm looking at kind of what's happening off this edge. So as I start to fill in, I'm doing that little, yes, that sort of squiggly mark making like that Susanna was doing. I'm starting by working the edge. I'm doing that here too. And maybe down here on this edge a little bit. So maybe I'm kind of working.
Would it be easier now if we saw it without all the bread lines?
That's a good question. Well, you have it. I mean, I'd have to print out another copy of it. Let me send it over to you again. Let me send it over.
I've got it.
Yeah, but let me send it over anyway, just to bring it up. Stephanie, just keep going, Stephanie. So now, Stephanie, you're doing all right. So now you're going to be looking at, so I don't know if you saw, here, I'll block this in so you can really see it. I missed a branch coming off here. It's kind of lined up underneath 1, 2, third space down. So now I can kind of follow that branch, making marks, a little bit like this, right? Little lines kind of going off in one direction, the other direction. Here, wait, let me put that up close so you guys can really see that again. So for some reason, it's looking kind of blurry today. I don't know why. So let me do that again so you can really see it. So when we come to an edge like here, like these branches that come off here, we can start to kind of add little lines going this way and that way. Or you might try those squiggly lines that Susanna just did, like that, right? Little swirls, almost. And then I can even take my eraser and kind of erase out the strong line. So we're always working from the biggest spaces and from the outside in. We're always working from the edges. Believe me, at some point, this is going to lock in and you're going to say, thank you, Leah. I'm sorry. I did not believe you. This is going to look bad, right? I'm sorry, because it's easy to believe that like it's, you know, never going to come together, particularly with trees. There's so much detail. So Stephanie, you're doing great. Just start working either with that swirly motion or little lines like this, or the swirly, right? Motion like that around the edges. These aren't the darkest, but they're dark, they're darker.
So you're doing that along all of our little lines now.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing, yeah, you can do that along all these edges where the dark meets the light. It'll start to help. But yeah, definitely where the branches meet.
The problem is, Leah, what about the middle?
We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're starting with the edges. We're working in.
Okay.
When we get to the middle, we're going to actually sketch in our light areas. And then that's going to be, we're going to see how the light areas kind of right, the snow areas. So down here, for example, right, there's this kind of snowy area that's white. And then next to the snowy area is a medium. So you're going to add in your snowy areas. Lay down a medium dark, and then you might have to like darken again. See that? So that's how you start to work. And that's what's nice about the snowy areas. They like mean you do less work, right? And it's okay. I know it's a lot. Listen, you guys wanted to learn trees. This is trees, right? There's a little snowy area here. So I'm adding it in. And I know you wouldn't want me to make it easy for you.
Oh,
I kinda did.
no.
Not that, not that. So see how I'm kind of sketching in? So Sandra, if you want to start sketching in your snowy parts and then adding kind of little like darker edges between them, that's a way you could go in and start working.
You're falling off a page.
Again? Oh,
Yes, to the right.
There we go.
Thank you.
there we go.
Oh. See, the problem is I find doing the dark areas first and then they get smeared all over the page.
But you can use your eraser and get rid of that.
I know, but what a mess.
I know,
God,
you
it's
don't,
not
you do
sharp.
not like the mess.
No,
I like mess. That is probably why I'm teaching you.
I don't
That's
suppose
why
we
I
could
get-
do the dark areas last.
No, because that's. What's interesting, and the reason I'm obsessive about doing the dark areas first is what happens is as you start to lay the dark areas in, you begin to get shape, right? So, and the reason is that the dark areas are interacting with the light shapes. So already I have a sense of this as a branch with a kind of a medium, right? Because I've got that dark area in here. If you wanted to, I'm trying to decide if this would work. If you took like your pencil and lightly sketched in the middle, this kind of medium value, medium to light value like this, kind of through the whole thing. And then you went back in with your eraser and pulled out lights as you saw them. That might work for some people. You know, I'm like doing that, and then I've already got my medium shade in. So you can try that if you want to, kind of shading in. I'll take a picture of this. The whole thing. You'll get darker in some areas and lighter in others. And then there's snow here. So I'm actually I'm showing the snow with my eraser. There's snow. Where else is there snow? There's snow everywhere. There's like snow here. Right? So I can sketch out the shape of the snow. I'm doing, whoops, come back up here. I'm doing, hey, that's too close, sorry. I got in close, I forgot I was in close. Sorry. Right, so I was looking at this snowy shape and going, okay, so I can come in here, sketch it out, just like I did a dark shape. And then take my eraser and really pull out that line. Sometimes that helps. And then I can see that around the shape, it's much darker. Around the white shapes, it's much darker. So I can start to get things a little bit darker. It might be a 4. So see how as you start to kind of go in and out here. But like I said, I think it's easier. So notice there's snow on these branches, but I haven't put it on there yet. I'm kind of trying to create the shape of tree here. And now I'm going to come back in with my eraser and pull out my snow. I can even go around the edge. And I want you to just take this like one piece at a time. What's that?
And the Olga's pictures. Just
Let's see.
gorgeous.
You're doing good. Keep going, Becky. Just keep going. Ooh, Olga, nice work.
Wow.
Yes. So she pulled in her sketches, very painterly, Olga. I really appreciate the painterliness
looks
of
really
that
nice.
approach. And when I say painterly, I mean, you notice she really is darkening. So you can darken even. Darken, not to a 5, but to a 4. Very nice. See how all of a sudden that starts to come together? So you can go even darker in this middle section, maybe for it.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, Jessica?
I have a child visitor who came all the way over just to say hello.
Can you take a picture of what you're doing, or are you in the middle of it?
I can take a picture.
You're on the right
That's
track.
fine.
Yeah, take a picture.
I could do that.
Do it.
Hi, everyone.
Jessica's doing, if you think you guys are having a hard time, Jessica's doing the really hard thing right now.
So this is going to be probably about a 3.5-hour painting, everyone. And I'm just starting, really. I mean, I'm not just starting, but it's really still in beginning phases. So just know that.
They're in the beginning
But
phases with
it's where
their
it
drawings
needs-
too. Don't
yeah.
worry.
But it is where it needs to be. So I'm happy about that. There we
Let's
go.
see. Oh, honey, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh wow, that looks great already.
Yeah, she's a pro,
I'm doing
guys.
Zorn plus turquoise today, Leah. I'm
Zorn-
improving the Zorn palette on my own. It's
I love
my
it,
own
right? Because
addition
everything
to
should
Zorn.
have turquoise. Because everything should have turquoise in
Everything
it.
needs turquoise. So it's Zorn plus turquoise. I'm sure Zorn is turning in his grave, but I don't care.
If you guys look closely at Jessica's painting, you will see that it's really just darks, right? Here towards the center, and then some light, some medium kind of areas out. And then she's worked the edges of that tree.
And this was the drawing. It's
Yeah.
like nothing.
Yeah. This is the beginning. So that's where you notice how tree-like her tree looks.
Well, thanks, Leah. That's generous of you to say.
It does.
You're very generous.
Already.
As opposed to our trees, Jessica.
No, that's not what I was saying. I was saying, notice how quickly, because she's focusing on shape, excuse me, because she's focusing on shapes, notice how quickly. So go ahead and darken in here, super darken. Not as dark as I said as your 5, but you could do kind of a 4 of darkness, a 4 of darkness. And then notice how this tree is starting to come out. So she had noticed that she's got 1 or 2 what we call the sky holes in the center here, but most of the time.
I'm covering those up.
See how mostly it's the edges are where you don't see her drawing every leaf. You see her focusing on the shapes where light meets dark. So now I see some darker areas up here. And I see a little bit of the trunk. So, which is dark and kind of straight. Coming down on this side. Yeah, now this is starting to look a little bit like a tree. So what are we, an hour and a half in? No,
An
hour in. So this is where Mira coming along. Nice. Just keep going. Just keep going. You almost, oh, hi, Janet. Nice to see you. You almost, I'm going to send this where it is right now. So you can see. It's really almost about an hour before you start to get the feeling of tree. And the feeling of tree comes from getting your light, your medium, and your dark shapes in. Now I'm really using my eraser. I'm using my eraser to add in my lights, and then to really emphasize them, I'm kind of darkening around the edge of the lights so that my snow reads. See that? So I'll add in, let's see, where's a big clump right here? So I covered over this clump. So here is, I'm doing this one right now. So here I'm pulling this out with my eraser like that. And then I'm going around the edge. A little bit darker. Jessica, thank you for demonstrating that tree stuff so beautifully. So those of you who are in painting and really wanting to paint.
Very generous, Leah.
No, but you really are helping. I mean, you're doing almost exactly what they're doing.
Well, that's why I wanted to do a pine tree, because I know I'm not drawing with you guys, but I want to, like, you know, be a little bit parallel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
pine trees are hard. They're hard.
They weren't as hard as that oak tree that we did last week. Anybody who was in last week's class is probably having a better time. For those of you who are on the first time, you're all like, oh, this is so hard. But hello, Kitty.
Oh, your cat.
Who is that? Which cat is that? What I am noticing is happening is now as I'm working, and I start to lay in my whites, my snowy areas, and then I get these kind of medium darks in, is that I then have to go back to my dark underneath my medium dark and darken it even more. See that? So now here is where we start to see. So we're doing what we call working the edges. I can see here that there's this lovely little leaf, kind of a triangle leaf shape. That's kind of a medium color. So I'm going to come in and try and pull out a little bit of shape here. And then like, I'm not doing every leaf, but I'm like looking at where I can see a kind of medium leaf against a dark background. See how just doing that, this little shape here, created more depth. So this is just, it's tedious. You know, I often will tell people are like, oh, I bet you just have fun all the time with painting.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, painting is one of the most tedious things I have ever done in my life. Like completely.
I don't know why I do it.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I do it.
Some days I am like that too. And I'm like, and I actually had somebody say to me, oh, you poor thing. You mean you don't love every minute of it? And I'm like, if I was doing it 3 hours a week, maybe, but not even then. There is a tedium that I think is akin to the tedium of getting a part right or playing a musical instrument. I don't know how many of you play musical instruments. There's a kind of tedium to it. You've got to keep practicing it. And then you have to pay attention, right, to every opening, to every entrance, to every change in tune. Because and you really want to work the biggest areas first. So that's why I have you do the big dark areas before you start getting into some of the details. This is why, Sandra, I'm like, it's not important. What's not important is the top. It's just not important. What's important are all these edges and how they meet each other, right? You won't even be paying attention to the top once you start paying.
Because of Christmas trees and everything, it's what makes part of the shape and it makes it more magnificent.
It's your, nope, I disagree. I think the actual shape of a tree is magnificent. It's your left brain trying to make, it's your left brain trying to make order out of something, and you're not helping, it's not helping your right brain understand what's actually going on. You have to let go of your concepts of the shapes so that you can see what this tree really looks like. This tree doesn't look like a Christmas tree. It looks like, it has this, it actually looks like a strange little witchy person. That's what it looks like. It looks like a strange little witchy person, like it could reach out and grab you.
That's awesome, Leah. You're so hilarious.
just trying to help. I noticed over
That's
here on
awesome.
this top right side. So notice I had made this really dark. Now I'm going in with my eraser and pulling out a little bit, not enough for snow, just enough to create a kind of medium. Notice that particularly on the top right edge here of all the branches, it's a little bit lighter on the top and darker on the bottom. That's because of the direction the light is coming. By the way, there's actually no real end to this. You could just keep doing this for a really, really, really long time. Or there's a point where you're going to step back. I'm starting to look at this tree and think, okay, finally, this tree, after about an hour and a half, is starting to look like a tree. But there's lots of areas. As you add in your snow. Okay, there is a little snow up here. You may decide at this point that you want to bring in a B or a 2B or maybe a 4B to add some, to give your darks a little bit more oomph. You are welcome to do that. You'll see that the more lead is in the pencil, it's a different texture. And I notice nobody else is really talking, which is good. It means you're paying attention to your what you're drawing. Yeah, good job.
Just cry in the corner.
Or crying in the corner. It's all right.
Yeah, something like that.
Let it go. Let it go. There's no expectation that you be perfect. I just want you to try.
Yes.
And if I made it too easy, there'd be no challenge to it.
He's judging me. No.
No, I'm a big believer in crying. I was a journalist. I didn't start drawing and painting until I was 30. 10 years ago, not like 20 years ago, right? I didn't start drawing and painting until I was 30. And I was a decent painter early. I learned later on that I had kind of a skill for painting, but I was an absolutely terrible drawer. And I didn't understand drawing. I had to learn how to draw. So I kind of made this decision at 30. Oh, I'm not going to be a journalist anymore, which is what I was before. I'm going to be a painter. All my friends and family were like, you're going to what? But don't you need to know how to draw? And I'm like, I'll figure it out. And I took my first drawing class. I cried every day. Oh. It was hard for me not to be good at what I was doing, right? That was my ego. Don't feel too bad for me. That was my ego crying every fucking day. Every day.
I'm going to say something here. I mean, this shouldn't happen in beginning stages when you're just starting something, but when you get to a certain proficiency level and you haven't ever taken an art class that makes you cry,
yeah,
you've been selling yourself short in your
haven't done it. You haven't been doing the right thing. Right.
I'm just gonna tell you guys, I've been painting for a long time. I went to Pratt made me cry, and I took a course over this past winter that made me cry.
That made you cry. That's right. I saw Jessica cry.
It still happens, and it still made. Wait, when did you see me cry in class? You weren't in that class.
Jane, that's looking great. So go ahead and add
the subject.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad.
No, I'm not.
Don't feel bad.
The subject. I'm just looking.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad about crying. Crying is part of that process.
And crying, you guys, because I've been in performance. Lots of directors who, like working, but like if the crying's from your own heart of struggling, then cool. But if it's caused from any outside force about expectation, then that's therapy.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's okay to cry. I mean, everybody who's on this call is very good at what they do. And I think it's really hard to go from something that you're very good at. Ooh, I like what's happening there, Mira. Very exciting. Just keep working. So now go ahead and start like erasing in some of your snow areas. And so Jane, I just say, go over with the slightly darker area here. Oh, Sandra. So Sandra, what I'm noticing, your tree is a little bit too narrow in the middle. So I'm going to redraw. I'm going to draw something in here for you to pay attention to. Oh, Nina, coming along. Very nice. Beautiful work, you guys. Notice that all these trees are very different, but they're actually starting to look like trees, which is totally awesome.
I can fill it up between the
yeah,
leaves.
I'm trying to show you the square, the triangle. So this is really much, there's more, so it looks a little bit like your tree is going like this. So I think it's a little bit darker through the center here. So maybe Sandra, darken everything more.
Okay.
In the center, and then pull out your lights. And that will help you with an eraser, and that will help you kind of thicken things. And yeah, Jane, what I'd like to see you do is darken everything another level, maybe up to a 3 or even a 4 that you haven't already darkened. And then you can go back in and start pulling your lights out with an eraser. These are looking great though, you guys. Every single one of these is awesome. Mira, I'm really liking the mark making on this one. I like it.
Thank you.
It's coming along. Everything is kind of darker and more darker towards the center of the tree. So even though you can see little bits of snow coming out here all the way through, right, and sort of lighter mediums, the base is darker. So you can darken pretty much this base and then start pulling out your snow. And as you pull out your snow, you're going to see that next to your snow are some dark mediums, and underneath the dark medium is dark. So you can start to work out detail by going from light to dark medium to dark.
Hey, Leah.
Yeah.
Is there a point
nice,
at which,
Stephanie,
like, you start to draw the tree in the picture, and then you get some information about that particular, tree, and then you move out of that tree to making it your tree?
I think you're all making it your tree right now with your marks. I think you're feeling the tree. Yes. So I think that happens just as you start to take your tool and try to get what you see. So what's interesting is what you see and what I see, are you talking about like the feeling of the tree?
Yeah.
Like the emotional. So a couple of things happen. And one of them is, I think the emotional content of whatever you're feeling enters into what you're looking at. Right. But also just the work, you'll see if you start looking down the thread right now, look at how different everybody's mark making is. It's really just the mark making and how you start to solve problems with the pencil that convey. So I think things are happening, but I don't think that they are things that have words on them. I think it's a feeling, and you get to the feeling by focusing on the mark making. So you're looking as hard as you can. Another thing that makes me cry is when you start looking at a thing and you're really appreciating, like this branch coming off here, the beautiful little feathery bits on here. You might get a little emotional. I remember the first time I drew a figure. It was at Daniel Smith's in Seattle, the Daniel Smith art store. I'd never been to a figure drawing class. So like I said, I couldn't draw at all. I was a terrible drawer. And I had a teacher, my first 2 teachers were terrible. They weren't really, I mean, they were good artists, but they could not explain to me mentally what is happening. That's why I'm like, I can tell you guys what's happening because I totally been there. So Becky, I cried my eyes out for my first 5 years. I'm saving you a lot of crying by telling you some things. You might cry a little bit, but I'm saving you a lot more crying because I was like, my teacher could not explain to me intellectually what was happening as I was trying to get the shapes right. And you know what I mean? Like, perspective is really hard. And then after 2 classes where I really bombed, and so I just bombed, I went to my 3rd class, which is a figure drawing class, and then I was introduced to charcoal, which is a lot more like working with a paintbrush than it is working with a pencil. And all of a sudden it got easier for me. And I remember one day I was like sitting there doing my just waiting for the teacher to come over and rip me a new asshole. And he came back and he looked at it and he went, and I went, what do you think? Kind of cringing inwardly. And he said, it looks like a woman sitting on a stool. which is who we were drawing. Like we were drawing a model on a stool, sitting on a stool. And that was it for me. I was like, yes, that's all I need. That's all the encouragement I need to keep on going. I finally got to the place where I can make something that looks like a woman on a stool. In fact, I may have that drawing here. Do you guys want me to pull it out? I have that drawing. It's from 20 years ago. Okay, hang on.
How to give it character here. Character. I think now. I mean, it looks like the beginnings of a tree to me. I mean, it's got all those lovely kind of organic, that organic movement. Like, look at those gorgeous branches right there. Don't you think that's beautiful? Oh my golly, that branch is so pretty.
I'm gonna cry now.
It looks like a real branch.
Now
to
the
me.
crying starts.
That's good.
I'm having troubles with the 2, 3s, and 4 shadings. Like, I can do dark, I can do light, but I can't. Those little ones in the middle are harder.
Amazing, I like details.
All right. That's it.
Wow, for that.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. It looks like an
The
angel.
woman looks very good.
Here's my
Oh,
little
that's
value
cool, Leah.
scale.
That's
You
great.
can see that.
That is great.
The value scale on the top. Listen, I didn't say it was great. I just said it looked like a woman sitting on a stool, right?
but
Can you
it is
see
I
it?
said it was great.
It is. Look at it. It's so this is what I mean. Like I keep this drawing because this was the moment I thought, oh, okay, I can go forward, right? I can go forward. I can do it. I was focusing on the negative shape of her leg there. I used the eraser to pull out a lot of things. I struggled with making lines with the pencil. It was easier for me to use an eraser. So I noticed people have sort of certain, anyways, sorry, here we are back to the tree. I just, I think a lot of magical things happen as you start to work on something, but I think the most magical thing is really paying attention to the subject in front of you, not projecting onto it something that is not happening. And the way we stop projecting is we really look at the shapes, because that's a logical process. Ooh. Is that yours, Janet? Wait, Jane, nice. Toshween, beautiful. Wow. Jane, coming along. So Jane, get in there and really darken everything. Make everything in between there a 4 out of 5. Ooh, Hannah, nice. Stephanie, nice, nice. Okay, so Stephanie, now that you've got that darkness, I want you to take your eraser and start looking at, so instead of keeping this geometric, like you've got these nice shapes happening on the outside here, start taking your eraser and looking at the organic shapes of this snow. So add in the snow. As you start to do that, you're going to be able to start to kind of make little ragged edges around where your dark meets your medium. Oh my God, you guys, great work. Nina, nice. Hannah, great. Jane, great. Jane, cool. So Jane, I feel like you need lights. You need to get your lights in. So use your eraser to get your lights in. And I feel like this got a little thin here in the center. So look how wide this is. What you have is something that's kind of going like this. Let's make this area, which is about here on the tree, make it a little bit darker and thicker and wider here. Yes, ready for erasing, but also maybe widening at the base a little bit. God, you guys are doing great. This is wonderful. I have noticed that for some people, it is easier to draw with a pencil than it is to think about. The way I'm teaching you to draw is the way a painter draws. So a painter thinks about light and dark and medium shapes and how to make them fit together, like a jigsaw puzzle. A pencil drawer, illustrator who's more illustrative. These are both artists. They're just different types of art. There's a different bent. Focuses more on the contour outline, right? Everything is like more about outlines and getting more details in those outlines. I cannot do that. I mean, I suppose I could if I wanted to, but one of the things I have learned as I became an artist late in life is that I don't really have time to paint like everybody else wants me to. I only really maybe have time to paint like I want to. Right? So I got to find out what works for me. So for me, it helps to do more erasing. And this is looking good, you guys.
Fun, you can make cool stuff with the eraser. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really neat. And then once, Sandra, that's looking great. So now, Sandra, that you've got that in there, I would actually take your pencil, and add a little edge, sort of draw the once you've got the light in, go back in to kind of reinforce. See how I'm
where the light meets the dark.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Very nice. Very nice. Nice thickening. Becky, yes. Yes. So Becky, I would say go even one layer darker on this. Go one layer. It's looking great. Just go one layer darker.
Everywhere?
Susanna, go dark on everything in the center.
Okay.
And then this is looking great though, you guys. These are great. These are wonderful.
Darker on everything you're saying, Leah?
Yeah, just go over with a dark, like a 4 out of a 5, right? On everything.
Oh,
And then you're going to go in with your eraser and start pulling out the snow like this.
Okay.
So you can go in and like cover everything up like this, right? So it's like a 4 compared to your 5. See how I'm doing that? And then I can come back in and pull my snow out with my eraser. And then I can come back in even and around the edge of the snow, make little leaf points. You'll like it. There's a back and forth that happens. Don't think too much. Start with the biggest areas, the biggest light, medium, and dark areas that you can. You'll make yourself crazy if you try to think too hard about every leaf. It's okay if you skip some branches. It's okay if you don't get all the snow in. You don't need it. A tree is an organic thing. So as long as you're paying attention to the general shape, you're going to find it's helpful to have like these shapes here to help guide you to create an organic shape, something that looks real. It helps to look at the thing in front of you, but you don't have to have every single branch in there. If you'll see, Olga did a really lovely job of simplifying. Okay, Mira, so now your job is to take, so this is looking great. So, and Mira, your job is to take those darks.
Okay.
And so now you want to get your lights in with your eraser, right?
Okay.
And then kind of go around the edge with the edge of your pencil, and then create a kind of a raggedy edge, because you'll see the snow kind of comes in a raggedy edge, right?
Yeah.
And look as much as you can. Oh, wait, I've totally missed this whole big snow thing down here. Notice I'm not really paying much attention to what's happening down here, because I know that my center of interest is really, as long as I get enough branches in, there's a point where I can stop. We can stop. So there is an end to this. Although you could also totally go on forever doing it too. So there's an end to it. And yet, now see how I'm adding in my eraser here. I'm going to come down close here so you can see. Oh, wait, I know what I did. I turned the light on here. Hold on. Much better. Actually, Becky, I was thinking about something interesting, which is that you teach transitional kindergartners, right? So what does that mean exactly?
Yes, what does that mean?
It's
Where's Becky?
4-year-olds who are too young for kindergarten, but are like they turn 5 in the fall, but it's after the cutoff date for kindergarten.
So they're a little bit young. You teach kind of young kindergartners.
Well, I've taught 5th grade for the last 6 years. This is my first year in TK, and it's
well, I've taught all grades, but anyway, I taught all elementary school, but
Right.
the last 2 years were 5th grade and now it's TK. And so they all turned 5 in either September, October, or November.
Right. So you probably notice about those kindergartners that lots of things are really hard for them, right? Like, because they're young, because I mean, kindergarten, I can't even believe going from 5th grade to kindergarten. Jesus, you're a trooper. Online. Yeah. So think about it this way. I noticed I worked at an elementary school for 4 years as a journalist in residence. They had a newspaper program and I helped the kids write for a school newspaper. And I watched my kids hit the wall every single minute. Yeah. Particularly the kindergartners, because they were learning so much, right? Like they're crying because it's hard sometimes for them to sit still for more than like 10 minutes, right? They're crying because it's hard to take their pencil and make a circle with it. Like all of it is legitimately hard. And that is the same process. Oh no, we lost Vanessa. Yes, you can use a B pencil for the 5s, Tashween. Sorry, I totally missed this. So what I noticed about learning something new is that it is really hard. Like, and drawing, we aren't really taught to draw. So the first sort of interaction with it is tough because it's so different than what we think, right? We're having to challenge how we think. And I was just thinking your transitional kids are probably there all the time. Oh, Jane, lovely. That's starting to really come out. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Vanessa, you're doing great. So here's what I would do. Darken that whole center and then start pulling. So you want to make everything that's now like, looks like about a 2, turn that into like a 4. And then you're going to start pulling out with your lights with your eraser. So darken it more. And you're doing great. And wow, your baby is crying. I'm so sorry about that. Wow. I don't know how you're doing. I've heard that it's been really tough for mothers who are working and taking care of kids.
Leah, this is the most peaceful time of my week, so thank you so much.
I'm so glad.
It's truly the most meditative 2 hours that I'm getting. So
this is what, because it's just hard enough that it forces you to focus, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I liked what you said last week, that was like focusing without having to like think of ideas. And I was like, oh my God. Like,
yes.
That's so good.
yes. Tashween, this is number 1. This is looking amazing, by the way. So I'm just thinking about what you can do to improve it. What I would say is, look, Tashween, that there are some areas where your whites, underneath your whites, on the source. So you might want to pull up the original picture. There is like kind of a 4 dark instead of a 5 dark. So if you add that in some places under your lights, right, where your snow is, you'll see. And then you darken your darks, you're going to have even more depth. But this is beautiful.
Yeah.
So just pay attention to those.
Do I do that with an eraser?
Yeah, you can do that with an eraser and then kind of go back. You can maybe erase it and then go back in. The idea is to create, yes, because you'll see, you guys are probably doing a lot of back and forth. So like, let's see, right here. Let me see if I can show you how to do it. So right here, I have this big clunky light space, but really it's more like, so I did this eraser. Now I'm going to bring my white space in using lines like this. And now I'm coming back here to create my media, my sort of 4. And then I go back in next to the 4 and darken even more.
Okay.
5. See that? See how that works? So once you get the bigger edges, then you have the confidence to go back in and start working the smaller edges and start seeing more detail. This is the
dark blotches. I don't know how to soften it to make it not look like big dark blotches.
Let's see. Who just said that?
Becky. Of course, Becky.
Becky, where is yours?
I'm gonna send it. Here's my newest.
Let me see your newest. So now, Becky, you're gonna, so look at where the dark edge meets the light and you'll see. So wherever dark edge meets a light, let's see, like you've got a big one down here. You just need to go in here, and I'm gonna draw this in so you can really see this. So say I've got this happening, right? Like you've got here.
Yeah.
Right. So now I'm looking and I'm coming here to that edge and I'm looking great, Emma. Good to see you. Hang in there. I'm everywhere there's a dark edge, I'm kind of making this uneven next to the light area, uneven next to it. So I want a slightly ragged. Oh, that's coming together. That's coming together, Becky. That's way better than you think it is. So just kind of go in maybe with your eraser, pull in, right? Like a kind of uneven edge, and then come back here and reinforce it.
Reinforce the uneven edge?
The uneven edge with the edge of your pencil in an uneven way.
Okay. I love Olga's.
They're really wonderful, aren't they? Okay, so Nina, you lost a bit of your dark. It's coming along, but you've lost a bit of your dark. This is like coming into, so fill in this area here. I'm trying to sketch, I'm drawing all over this thing. Fill in here. Can you see that triangle? This has got it, this should be darker.
Yeah. Okay.
So that it looks more, and then start working. What you really want to do is work the edges where the whites are. So where the white is, you create an uneven edge, right? A more uneven edge, looking at what's happening to the edge where the white meets the dark, and trying to recreate that edge with your pencil.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, Becky, this is way better. This is a really great first drawing, and I'm not just saying that. It looks great. You're getting there. So there's something about that push that's like really been good. I'm seeing you get to this place.
Yeah, it's a whole different way of seeing things for me. Like I don't always see the darks and lights you're talking about. So I really had to focus to see what you're talking about.
Right. And it's hard, right? Like, and now you'll know how, the next time one of your little kids cries, you'll know exactly what's going on.
Oh yeah, I have compassion for them, but I probably have more now, more empathy.
Right. It's funny because your job is to push them forward. So in a way, you can't really get caught up in their emotions, but it's good to remember what that feels like, right? And teaching for me really became about that. When I learned how to be an artist, when I learned how to draw, I spent 5 years being very not good at drawing. I would say sometimes I even let my drawing go a little bit, right? Because painting is easier for me. So now my drawing is at the point of
sorry, I didn't mean to send a choice.
Right, Sandra, good. So Sandra, let's see. So I still feel like Sandra, you're like, you're not getting the motion of the lights. So I want you to look at the lights. Pay attention to the lights. Okay, Mira, now you've got to be less blocky. You're getting there. But every time you see you have this like dark outline, right, around the edge, really it's darker inside and it's lighter on the outline and the edge. Okay. So right now that's bouncing out at me because I see that dark edge and it's not really there. So it should be darker in the center. And Sandra, I think what's happened is you've lost your lights. So I want you to go and your medium.
Yeah, I just blended a little. And
yeah. And then it's like, so you know the drill. Just keep going back in and finding it. And this idea of finding it and losing it and finding it and losing it, it happens all the time. I would say on a daily basis, I find and lose what I'm trying to draw many different times. So it's really, ooh, Stephanie, nice. All right, so now I feel like your edges are a little bit too sharp. So now we're just going to be working on, so anytime you have a straight line like this between a shape, right, it bounces out at me. Can you see this? So I want to make sure every time I've got an edge where light meets medium, medium meets dark, that everything has that kind of ragged edge of the shape of the, so now you want to start going in there and pushing those a little bit more. And if you're struggling on where to do it, look at what's actually happening. Take a big branch like here and look at the shape. You'll see if you get close enough here that there is this light shape that goes like this, and then there's kind of a medium dark shape that comes underneath it, and then underneath that is a dark shape. So don't try to guess what's happening. I don't know. I think it's looking pretty good, Hannah. I guess you could see dragon in there. So Hannah, I would say the same thing. Every place you see a straight edge, which is how we started, we now have to raggedy out those edges. Nice, Jane. Beauteous. So Jane, if you want to get very nuanced now, get a couple of these smaller. So you have kind of bigger branches up here, but really there, when we get up here, the snow is smaller. So you can start getting in smaller shapes up here.
I'm really feeling limited by my eraser, which kind of really feels like a bull in a china shop here.
I think you're going to like when we move to charcoal, which we will, I think you're going to like charcoal. It's the easier to push around. Just keep going in with your eraser, back out. So I would say get rid of this branch up here, because that's not what's really happening. And try and get these little snow areas. Focus on just this part here, trying to recreate that. And that's all you'll need, I think, to feel. Jane, nice work. So just keep doing it. You're going in, you're building. Next to almost every snow area, there is a 4 of leaf shapes, which leads into a 5 of leaf shapes. So take a look at your biggest leaf shapes and look at them and add that 4 in. You can go in with your eraser and then darken a little bit. You can darken your dark to create that 4. Pay a little bit more attention to these edges now to get, so it's all about edges. That's really all it is. Drawing is about edges. It's about laying out the darks, the mediums, and the lights, and then working the edge where one meets the other. There's a lot of dark, medium, and light edges here. So,
good.
Yes. Somebody asked me once, I don't know who it was saying, that this is very relaxing for them. I used to present at journalism conferences a lot on drawing because I found it made me a better writer when I was in that confusing period when I was doing journalism and doing art, which I did for about 5 or 10 years. I found that like my writing just got so much better once I really started getting the principles of drawing came through, because I realized I was much more like there's a visual side of all logic that is integral to every process, including the writing process. Is all I will say. And I remember I was talking, so I remember this journalist came up to me and said, oh, I have this little thing on my phone, on my cell phone, where I draw little circles. And is that like the meditative experience that you're talking about? And I'm like, no. That is not going to get you the meditative experience. Meditation is not easy. Meditation is hard, and staying in a meditative state is hard because you've got to keep focusing. So drawing is not like drawing little circles on your cell phone, which is a nice way to zone out, but is not a way to focus and meditate. To meditate, yeah, it's like exercise. You actually have to work hard enough to get like those, focus hard enough on what you're doing that you kind of forget everything else. If it's too easy, you don't forget everything else. And by the way, when you do that, you start to grow a new neural pathway in your brain. So basically, the moment we get really good at something, our brain starts to deteriorate. So once we master something, our brain deteriorates. So basic language, being able to talk to each other, being able to drive, I'm trying to think of other skills that are kind of like, once you learn them, they become kind of hardwired into your brain and programmed. And that's the moment that your brain stops working. However, when you're learning a new skill like this, and it's a push, your whole brain is working. And not only that, your whole brain is working. The whole brain starts, every neural process also starts working, because you're building this new pathway, this new neural pathway where all of the neurons are working. So your thinking will start to change in a deepen, I would say, intellectually in a good way. But also just know that the moment you get good at something, it's time to learn. It's time to like challenge yourself, because that's actually when you keep your brain health, how to keep your brain healthy. How's that? And the beauty of drawing and painting is you can never be good enough. There's always 20 years into this, I'm still finding all kinds of things that are hard to learn.
So it's not it's not hopeless, it's growth.
It's growth. This is absolutely yes, that feeling of hopelessness as you're struggling, or let's put it this way, not hopeless, but the struggle. The struggle is the best possible thing you could do for your brain. Any of the people here who are bilingual, speak at least one language, more than one language, you will know this process as you started to learn another language, right? You will, Olga's like, yes, I have like 4. She's like, yes, I know, right? You know how hard it is. You like push until you don't know, and then you get frustrated and exhausted, and you just keep trying, and then each time it gets a little bit better, and then one day it kind of explodes out of you.
Leah?
Yes.
Sorry, completely changing the subject, but do you have an opinion on Da Vinci watercolors?
I love them.
Company.
I love them. They're great.
How do they compare to Daniel Smith?
Well, I mean, they're all different. I think the better question to ask me is whether you should get the dry pats or the tubes. And I like
you told me the tubes, and I agree.
Yeah, I'd say the tubes. I like the tubes. I can't tell you the difference. I've used some. I don't know them, and I don't know enough to tell you.
I'm about to buy a set, I think.
I think do it. I think they're great.
By a wildlife art that's been put together by a wildlife artist.
Oh, nice.
And so it's got exactly the kind of colors I'd like. It's got a lot of earth tones, for
awesome.
fur.
Awesome.
Ooh,
Susanna, beautiful.
And it comes in tubes as well. So
that's awesome. That is really awesome. Yeah, no, I think you'll be very happy with them.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And they're good value too.
They are. I love this, Olga. Olga is showing you how charcoal looks. You'll see. This is wonderful,
you guys.
It looks
fantastic, Olga.
It's really coming along. So one of the things I want you to know about trees, you guys, is it's way harder. So I was like, as I was doing beginning drawing, I'm like, oh, this is hard. So that's why we're drawing small. When we get to other subjects, it's going to be easier. Trees are actually really tough. I probably shouldn't have said yes to trees, except that I think what's now good is your expectations are like everything else I show you is going to be easier. Like I think animals are easier, even though they've got fur, because they often have, like trees have these very subtle, lots of many dark, medium, and light shifts. And it is easier, I think, to do subjects where you can have more dramatic light, medium, and dark stuff. So I want you to feel like if you've done this, it gets nothing but easier.
I'm also sending you rabbit.
Let's see. Rabbit. Oh, look at him. He's so happy. Look at him. I know, Rabbit's a good boy. Sandra has 3. They make a lot of appearances during art class. I might also share with you guys now what we're gonna, I made a plan with Marie. We know what we're gonna teach for the rest of the year, subjects. So do you guys wanna hear them? You interested in that? Like
Yes,
what we're going
please.
to do? All right, let me
Yeah.
pull them out here.
Dancing,
What's that?
tap dancing.
Yes. You guys. Wait, exit full screen. This is what I want to do. Let me pull it up here. It's somewhere here. So where did I put it? So for beginning drawing, I thought we would spend the month of February doing trees. So we've got 1 or 2 more weeks of trees. I think we'll do an apple tree next or something like that, something with fruit on it. And then I thought we'd spend the month of March doing animals. So 4 weeks of animals
Yes.
in beginning drawing. And then in April, we'll do still lifes for 4 weeks. And then in May, we will do structures like cars and barns and buildings. And then we'll go back to landscapes in July, and then flowers in August, and then using charcoal in September, using ink in October, and then we'll decide the last 3 months. But I want to spend we'll work with the same subject for 4 weeks, different variations of the same subject, but we will work with the same subject for 4 weeks. Marie, for the pastel class, is going to spend, which is tomorrow, is going to spend February doing snow scenes. In March, she's going to show you sunsets and sunrises. So this is landscapes and pastels. In April, she's going to do marshes, streams, and reflections in water. In May, she's going to do waves. In June, she's going to do beach scenes. July, mountain scenes. August, structures in fields like hay bales and fences and farmhouses. And in September, she'll do rocky landscapes. October, autumn colors. November, skies. And December, she's going to give over to you guys for student choice. So I'm stoked. I think it's going to be a fun year. We're kind of going over what subjects, will be helpful. So that's that. I can send that over.
Hey, Leah.
Yeah.
How do you think there are people who freehand something like this? They don't make shape.
That's not actually true. They're making shapes. That's what they're doing.
That is
And they're
true.
checking
We are
and
making
you don't
shapes.
see it.
Yeah.
They're checking
Everybody
all the
who's
time as well.
freehanding, it's not freehanding. They're making shapes and they're looking at the shapes compared to the other shapes.
So by freehanding, do you mean not using a grid? Because
Is that, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what I would say is what people are doing is what I'm showing you how to do now. It's just they're able to do it faster because they've been practicing it more. How's that?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So what I usually do in this class is I have people use a grid, but with trees, grids weren't really helpful because there's so many minute changes. It just wasn't helping. So we decided to kind of go into these small changes because I think it's a great way to work on edges. We'll go back to a grid, but ultimately you get better. What's happening is there's a translation happening as you go from 3 dimensions to 2. So as you get more experienced you do enough subjects, you start to learn, how big are things really in relation to other things? You start thinking about this outer shape first. You start thinking about the bigger sort of inner carving shapes. It'll become very natural for you. And not only will it become natural, you will not understand how anybody could do it any differently. There are people who work from the inside out, which is a terrible way to draw. You'll only get so far with it. Oh, that looks lovely. So this is, yes, the beauty of it is the beauty and the tragedy of it, I guess, is that what I'm teaching you is how to freehand it. And that's what everybody does. And you feel like you don't, right? Like you feel like it shouldn't be like this. It should be easier. Maybe it's easier for some person, but it really isn't. It's just, you start to learn, as you practice it more, you know, like, it's like blocking in for a stage play, right? You know how you block in things? Like, so at the beginning, when you do a stage play, nobody even knows where to stand, right?
Right.
You have to figure that out, like, by practicing. And then all of a sudden, and then as you do more plays, you have a sense of like, oh, this is how it's going to look for the audience if I'm standing back here, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But at the beginning, you don't know that. So it might look very easy for us that you know exactly where to go, but you know that you spent a lot of years figuring that out, right?
Yeah, understand.
By trial and error. So this is exactly the same process. It's just as you practice it more, you get better at it. And the big problem with, I sent you guys a little beginning drawing lesson on a flower, a video, and I think you ought to try it, because that one really walks you through the process more, even more than this.
Okay.
Just of understanding conceptually why it's hard to draw. It's hard to draw because there's a difference between your left and your right brain. Your left brain is about your concepts and verbal ideas, which you carry around in your head and then you project onto everything you see. And the right brain doesn't really care what a thing is. It's just looking at the shapes. So when Sandra was saying, but Christmas trees have this nice little point at the top, right? So let's draw that. That's a left brain. Sorry, Sandra, I'm like, right? But that's right, right? It's a left brain idea. And it was getting in the way of Sandra looking at this tree because she was laying on an idea, and then she puts the point in and wonders why it's not working. like we put him in and we and that's because our left brain, which is our verbal center, it's the part of our brain that learns language. It assigns a word to a concept. So when you say, so it's crucial to us learning to communicate. So in whatever language you learn how to assign things, you have to have a picture in your head of what it is as you say the word, so that you know what you're talking about, right? You can communicate with each other. But that picture you have in your head, the idealized look at something, does not take into account what specific trees really look like. What does that flower look like if it's turned this way? What does that flower look like if I'm looking at it from this direction? Things are totally different, like in shape. So the left brain tends to want to jump in and tell you what's going on when it really doesn't know. The left brain is very often not helpful when you're trying to draw. In fact, often it helps to turn your drawing upside down. So I could turn this upside down, and for the last couple minutes I will. So if anybody's still working on this, turn this upside down. You're going to find it's easier to draw it because you don't know what it is, so you can see the shapes better.
Yeah.
See that? So let's spend a couple minutes just like seeing if you can see some light dark areas, that shapes that you didn't see right side up. It's going to blow your mind. That's what blows my mind, is that now this stops the left brain, because the left brain's like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. What is that? So you can shut the left brain up enough to go, okay, here is a dark square, and then here's a light area, and here's a medium area, right? I can see these pretty clearly. I can see that I needed to extend this out a little bit more this way. And I can see that I needed to bring my light in a little bit more here, right? So I can see all that stuff so much better. So it's like exercising an entirely different logic system. Yeah. And you have to learn it from the beginning, like kids have to learn to read. And if you've ever watched a kid learn to read, it's painful and tedious and takes a really long time. Right? It's tiring to them. They don't do it all at once. No kid is like learns to read. I have one student who claims she taught herself to read. I don't believe her.
No, I don't believe her.
I don't think you can. But look at what happens to you. Everybody has the capacity to learn to read, but nobody knows how to read. You have to be taught how to read. And look what happens to your worldview, your mind, your intellectual processes once you learn. It's like a whole new world of things are available to you. So it's not just the learning to read, it's the things that opens up for you. Right? So learning to draw is the same thing. It's an entirely different process. You've got to take away any idea you have about it. These guys, anybody who's taken my classes long enough is basically used to be saying, nope, that's wrong. Don't do this, don't do that. Because consistently, it's a hard thing to fight. And because I went through exactly what you guys went through, I had to do it too. I mean, I had to learn what I did not know. So I do promise you, it does get easier. And it's not only gets easier, it's the only way to really properly construct a drawing or a painting. So once you can get into this zone, you will not understand how people do it. I've seen people do it, but I don't really get it. Doesn't make any.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you.
Yes. Sorry, that was a really long answer to a short question. Get me started on right. Get me started on right and left brain, and I will go on for hours. I just find it endlessly fascinating. Oh, Jane sent her doggy. Tasha, beautiful. Oh, Sandra, that's exciting. Susanna, it's lovely.
Yeah, it's
Jane,
fun.
it's coming along. Stephanie, these are great. These are wonderful.
Thank you. It's so much fun, Leah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So, you know what the good news for you two is? 2 people on one screen pay only 1 class fee. So you have 1 more class. Even if you're separate, you can take the class. Both of you can take the class. So you only have to pay for, so if you're together, you don't have to pay separate. It basically, if I have another box on my screen, right, I can only fit 30 boxes on my screen. So
that means if 10 of you come to Central Park with me,
you can totally go for totally. Shit, Jessica, if they go to Central Park.
We're coming to New York. We're coming to New York.
We were born in
Please
New York.
do. I'll take you painting.
Oh, Jessica, you would love these two.
I know.
You would love these
well, they
two.
would love, maybe they would love me.
They would absolutely love you. There's no question.
I'm kind of feeling like I would love everyone on this call just because we did this. Right?
Yes. Vanessa, that's beautiful. Wonderful work. Wonderful. Janet, yeah. Janet, I think you really got this. I think the concept, I can see you really grasping this concept and running with it. Look at, you guys, look at how great these are. Now you may say to yourself, well, damn, that's not as, my tree isn't that great or whatever.
Great.
But I would say that everybody here, and I'm going to stop because I actually think we're at the end of our time here. Hold on a second. I'm going to remove my spotlight. Put yourself in gallery view so you can see everybody. I want you to hold up your drawings. And I want you to see that wherever you are with your drawing, right? Oh, that everybody did a damn tree. Like everybody did something that looks like a tree. Everybody.
Olga's looks fantastic.
Jane, let's see yours. I know Hannah, we can't see yours, and Nina, but look at that.
Oh, I don't know how to get into. Hold on, does anybody know how to do gallery view on an iPhone?
Top right corner of view.
Top right corner.
No, that says leave.
Oh no, don't do that.
Bottom right then.
Are you trying to do a turnaround so you can shoot?
No, I want to see everybody's
Go to an iPad.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spotlight you, Jessica. Anyway, look at this, you guys.
No, I want to see other people's stuff.
Okay, look at people's stuff. So I want you to
screenshot
look at that
and put it in the chat.
Okay, I'll take a screenshot and put it in. Everybody put theirs up. Do a 1, a 2. Hold on. Getting my phone. Okay, so I want you to notice that you can criticize.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You can say, I didn't get my tree perfect, but everybody drew a tree. Not only a tree, an evergreen tree, a spruce perhaps, my neighbor's tree.
Hey,
So you drew a tree that looks like a tree, and it looks like the tree, right? It's just like when I showed you this, right? It's a girl on a stool. It's not a masterpiece, but it is a girl on a stool. So this is the beginning of success. So beginning drawing is the only place I feel like I see people's expectations raise up within 2 hours of what you think you could, right? So if you had just drawn this at the beginning of class with no instruction, you wouldn't be able to get as far as you did, right? So now your bar is raised. Like what you want to do, your expectations of yourself are raised much higher.
Did I hear you say we're going to a bar? Is that what you're saying now? We're going to a bar, right?
Yeah. So, hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I know at least half of these people are in 5 o'clock right now. So
it's almost 9 p.m. in Poland.
It's almost 9 p.m. in Poland. So it's definitely drinking time somewhere. I mean, it's only 11:30 in the morning here on the West Coast, but hey, it's a Saturday. So anyways, guys, notice how you feel right now compared to how you felt at the beginning and at the middle of class. Just observe that about yourself. Notice that you might be feeling exhausted. You might be feeling kind of proud of yourself. You might actually be feeling energized. You may be feeling a lot calmer than you did at the beginning of your class, right? So notice what kind of emotional state drawing, this is the reason to draw more than anything else. It's not to be the best drawer in the world. It's to be the best drawer you can be. And at the end of 2 hours, you feel like you accomplished something. So I feel like everybody did today. And I'm real proud of you. It's really great. So great work, everyone.
Leah, you're a remarkable teacher. I love how you think.
Thank you. Thank you. I love to teach, and you guys are remarkable students. Everybody nailed it. So not without struggle, but like the struggle is part of the journey.
The productive struggle, we say to the parents.
It's a productive struggle. Thank you, Becky. Exactly. All right, you guys. So continue. If you want to, do little practice sketches and run them across the thread. The thread will continue on. I won't take you off. If you want to take yourself off the thread, you can. But I think it's kind of neat, even if you're not in class, to see what everybody's doing. Jessica, you kill it out there. Don't get too cold.
Show us, Jessica, where you're at.
Yeah. So I sent a picture. I sent something through, but I need at least another hour on this.
Okay. Let's see.
But I sent it.
Nice.
Okay.
Ooh. It looks great.
Oh, Jessica, it's beautiful.
Jessica, it's amazing.
Getting there.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
There is one thing I want to say.
I thought you just turned your camera around and it was a tree in the park.
Yes, it does look.
that.
It looks.
She's really damn good.
There it is.
So Jessica, what were you going to say?
I want to just back up something Leah said. If you look up close here, you'll see that my snow is actually gray, all of it right now. It's all gray. It looks weird and it looks funny, and that's how it needs to look, because I know a few of you were saying, well, why do we have to, start dark? But there's no way I can pop the light on if I go with white snow.
Right. In fact, snow is mostly whites are mostly, there's only a few areas where there's white.
Yeah, I'll do it very last on accents. I will put some more values on, but you can see like it's gray, it's dark, and it looks funny, and that's okay.
It doesn't look funny to us, but I know why it looks funny to you. She knows what.
Well, it's okay. It's supposed to look funny right now.
Wait,
so
girls,
thanks,
are
everyone.
you in your pajamas? Susanna, are you in your pajamas?
No, yeah, not. No. Why would you think these are my pajamas? This is my dancing uniform.
Oh, I love it. All right, you guys, wonderful to see everybody. If you want to do pastel landscapes tomorrow, that starts a half an hour earlier. So a half an hour earlier than our start time. And Marie's going to do a snowy tree scene, I think. So actually, this would be a great way to try to continue to practice your trees.
Leah, I've got a question. Please don't go.
Yes.
Sorry. So this set I was talking about, this watercolor set, it comes either in the pens or it comes in the tubes. or it comes in the tubes and you get the pans as well to fill in.
Get the pan. Get the pan and the tube.
We established
pan
we
and
didn't
the
like the
tube.
pans.
The pans and the tube. Get them both.
Okay.
Get them both. Get them both. All right, you guys. We'll see you soon. Great work.
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone. Thanks,
Wonderful
Leah.
day.
Thanks,
Great
Leah.
work. Great struggle.
Bye.
Bye.